All right, we're going to get started. Everybody awake? Vegas is tough to do conventions on day two. Been a long night, but the vodka's wearing off and we're ready to go. Hey, real quick, my name's Terry McCauley. I am CEO and founder of an ad agency called Big Time Advertising and Marketing. My background is the automotive business. I grew up with a best friend's father who owned about 7 franchises. We were little brats. We learned to detail cars. I burned up a few Corvettes in my time with a wheel. Worked my way up to taking ups at 18 years of age. Worked for a Chrysler franchise for 12. Worked my way up to sales manager and eventually a general manager. My father owned an ad agency growing up, and he did automotive advertising. So I was always this guy right down the middle, didn't know which of the two to do. 5 years ago, after losing my father, a year prior, I made the jump. I saw a need coming with great fundamentals of how to sell cars and fundamentals of traditional old advertising. This wave we're still talking about digital, and there are principles that still have AOL email addresses, so some people are still trying to embrace it. But I saw it coming, saw an opportunity, and I dove in head first, and it's been a blast. It's been fun because it's fun to work with dealers that I've grown up with, and we've had tremendous success. I am filling in today, so if you expected to see Kelly, this is a big disappointment. I did Google her. She's extremely better looking than Terry McCauley. It didn't take much, not much to work with here. But with that being said, I love the topic, which was chosen previously, but it's from clicks to bricks. So we're going to talk about, and this is a space I'm fascinated with and I love, and I try to bridge the gap. So if you're kind of lucky today. I love Google. Google's experts on Google, right? But it's no different than bringing in an expert on iHeartMedia, okay? iHeartMedia loves iHeartMedia. Google loves Google. I love selling cars, right? And you can sell cars with Google. It's like right now it's the best thing going, no question about it. So we're going to talk about, hopefully if anything, I want to be an advocate for all of you to not lose your inner voice of being a dealer, because that's the one thing that frustrates me. I've seen a lot of talented people that understand clicks, they understand click-through rates, they understand conversions, and we're going to get into all that fun stuff, but they're forgetting how to sell cars, and that's frustrating. So I want to be a voice of that. I am someone, if I move too fast or too slow, you want a question in the middle, interrupt me. Like, I love a deeper dive into anything we're talking about. I will learn standing here, I promise you that. Before I get started, how many, just by show of hands, because I'd like to know who I'm speaking to, how many dealer principals are in here? Okay. How many are internal marketing managers for your dealership? Okay, great. And how many have a PhD in here? In auto business. That their papa has dealership? No, I like to pick on them. All right, perfect. The reason I ask that is because I'm fascinated with how we talk to each other as well, because I think we have a lot of internal marketing teams that are awesome, talented, and I think they have a hard time verbalizing to an owner when an owner's pissed and not selling cars. All he wants to know is why we're not selling cars. They're trying to give you the answer and the facts that they're looking at, but they're having a difficult time bridging it. So that's what I'm going to try to do today with you on how to get from clicks to bricks. I got this quote from an economist I went and saw just actually a month or two ago, and I thought it was fascinating. So this is my introduction, real quick. Read it real quick. Take a second just to read it and own it. The children now love luxury. They have bad manners, contempt for authority. They show disrespect for elders. They love chatter in place of exercise. Children are now tyrants, not the servants of their households. They no longer rise when elders enter the room. They contradict their parents, chatter before company, gobble up dainties at the table, cross their legs, and tyrannize their leaders. What's that quote? Who are they talking about? Any guesses? James from Jeopardy isn't here, so I'm hoping no one knows the answer. Huh? Exactly. So at The Economist, we thought, yeah, millennials, right? And The Economist stunned us. This was said by Socrates in 650 BC. Okay? It just stopped me in my tracks that day, and I'm using it more and more because I think it really helps today. It helps with everything I've felt and known about customers, because I've taken it up when someone says they're not a buyer, and the rookie who's never, the green pea's never taken up, he's not a buyer, you're wasting your time. And I love signing the dealer recap sheet, we just made 10 G's on the guy that wasn't a buyer, because I know what that feels like. Okay, so what's happened here, what I love about this quote is quit worrying about the kids of the future. They've been doing this forever, right? It's us that we're not changing, and that's the challenge. So remember this, our consumers have always been curious, demanding, and impatient. How long does it take impatient? How long is it going to get to be in the finance office? Our salespeople arguing to get in the sales office or the finance office. What's taking so long in there? My people are going to walk on me, right? They've never changed, but how they communicate with us has changed, and it will continue to change. And it's changed since you've owned your dealerships. Digital for some reason is tougher, right? So when we were just direct mail and newspaper, the transition, because I worked for my dad when we did that, transition from TV to radio, right? That was a big deal for dealers. There's no way I'm not going to have my full page, full color ad, okay? It's not going to happen. You can't make money just doing TV and radio. And guess what? People did. They slayed it. Okay? And now digital, there are some, and that's why I like that we're at the Independent Dealer Association. This is a great niche for you. You guys don't have you're not spoiled with the $30,000 co-op money every month, right? Where those guys get to go buy the cheap cars at franchise sales. You're not that spoiled. You got to work. Every dollar matters. So I want you to embrace this before we jump into going from clicks to bricks. This is important to me. Nothing's changed. They just are using different tools. A couple quick things, and this will lead into what we're doing. Searches with best vehicle are up 80% in the past year. Okay, so, and we all do this. Like when we say best, like best hotel room in the Venetian. That's what I did when I got here. I want to know if I'm getting the good one, right? That's how we're searching today. So we're going to get into where you guys are in the middle of another change in digital world. Keywords are still relevant. They haven't gone away, but it's changing, and digital's changing daily. And if you're not, don't let it scare you, but just pay attention to it. Make sure your teams get it. But we'll get into this. Don't lose your gut instinct on how to sell cars, okay? And I've been saying this all along. So now there's talking about what's the best vehicle for new parents? What's the best vehicle for my dog to ride in, okay? Well, I will tell you, 5 years ago when I started my agency, I was laughed out of the room because I was a car guy, and I told people, I don't care about my click-through rate. What do you mean? Well, you guys are eliminating possible buyers. You mean you're going to tell a car dealer that if he spends $3,000 a month on AdWords and he gets 100,000 ads that show up for free and but they're relevant, like fix my transmission, but it never gets a click. You're gonna make fun of my click-through rate, but that's a future buyer. Okay? So that's the voice I want to give back to you is don't lose your inner voice, right? Like free advertising, anytime you get it, great. Especially we're gonna get into what's going on now is what's machine learning, right? So the machines are better than every one of us sitting here. Any of you guys working internally in your marketing department, you got to give up your ego. It's hard for me. Right? I argued with my partner forever, and I'm going to lose every time. The AI is going to kill us, okay? But what's important is that we not lose our inner voice on how to sell cars. That should never change, and don't let people convince any different. I'll talk about what I mean as we go here. How many of us, and this is how good Google's getting. Remember, we used to always search near me, right? Pizza near me. Best restaurant tonight, near me. You don't have to put near me anymore. And we shouldn't even have to tell you that because this proves that users that use Google, which everyone does, they already know it. They're naturally not putting in near me. Okay, so everything's gone location-based, right? And I've taken phone calls from tons of dealers. I just Googled us, we're nowhere. Where are you standing? Well, I'm at 20 Group in the Bahamas. Well, no shit. You shouldn't, right? Sorry about my language. I'm bad. I got bad car habits. And I'm supposed to be professional. My mom warns me of that part. So, what am I going with this? If we all, and Google's that good. And now we're getting into relevancy. If every one of us sat here right now and Googled our best restaurant right near us, right, we would all get different results. And why? Because the machine's already learned about us. It knows Terry eats fattening food, right? It knows somebody in here is vegan and a lot smarter than Terry, right? So Google knows all that. And so we're going to show you how to start focusing on getting your clicks to your people showing up your dealership. That is the goal. I just do want to put some fascinating stuff that you should start to think about. TV's not going away. Guys, video is not going away. Video is still important. There are 2 times more test drives on YouTube than there are on dealership lots. Right? I mean, virtual reality is crazy. If you haven't done it, you can, on here's a Hyundai Sonata 16. You can drive in one right now. You don't even have to own it. Okay, it's not the actual car they're going to buy. And so that's the thing I would tell YouTube. YouTube would sit here and tell you, see? But I'm a car guy. I say, yes, that's important. But what else is important, guys? When do they take mental ownership of a car? When they're sitting in it, right? So those fundamentals, we've got to figure as dealers is how to bridge that gap. Okay? Don't take one thing that's awesome, great knowledge, and then forget, like, hey, don't let 5-car Fred convince you they don't have to test drive it anymore. Right? We still got to do both. Between Google, Bing, Yahoo, Facebook, and YouTube, Google My Business, Yelp, all of them, they're all great, but that's how knowledgeable our consumers have become. What did I Google here? I did this the other day. How to buy a vehicle at a buy here, pay here dealership, right? That's what comes up immediately. It's not always all good, is it? How to make a buy here, pay here lot that's successful. Some guy there that's, was treated wrong somewhere. Our people are coming in loaded. Do you know how mad I had a finance manager named Jim Durbin? I'll never forget him. Almost turned his desk upside down because one of our sales guys said, this guy's got consumer reports in his hand. He knows interest rates, right? Like, and we used to fight that. Like, get out there, it doesn't matter, it's not available. But this is how much it's changed. Wouldn't you love to go back to, if all we had to combat today is consumer reports? Like, that seems easy now, right? So there's so many things at their fingertips, and we've got to embrace it. But it's all important, right? Anything worth doing is worth overdoing. So your Yelp ratings, your dealer ratings, your Google My Business page, it all matters. And I think we need to start thinking about how a dealership behavior should function in this world if it's changed. I'm big on behavior, right? If your managers are still having conversations at the desk, how many calls you make today, who's coming in, you should be able to track that at the click of a finger on your customer database management systems, right? Your conversations should be, how many posts did you put up for me today on Facebook? Have you checked your Yelp rating? Have you called your customer and asked them to review us on Facebook? Right? Have you taken a new picture of any of our used cars and personally posted them? Like, those should be how many private messages have you sent your customers in Instagram or on Facebook or on Twitter? I would love to sell cars a day. You could absolutely slay it. There's so many tools available. You don't have to go out and staple signs to a telephone pole, or walk in the mall and use the Joe Verdi script and try to find referrals, which is one of the greatest scripts of all time, and it can work. So, I went too quick. So here's the problem, guys, as dealers. All we think buyers want is how much they can afford, right? And they all are going to tell you $250, and we're all going to bump them to $712 if we can. And until back end tells us we can't put any more in there. And then we still might figure out something else, right? So, but really, guys, what buyers want, or are we listening? They told us a long time ago, I'm big on fundamentals, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen to customers. So that's what digital is. Listen to them. Anybody that's convinced, someone at the desk or at the booth yesterday asked me, what do you think about Instagram? What do you mean, what do I think? I don't think about it. Like, what are your thoughts about Snapchat? Well, my kids use it, so it's relevant. When I go to dinner last night and pick up a tab, right, it's real expensive, but look around the room, everybody's dressed up and everybody's doing this, right? So when someone asks me, do you think social works? Yes, and if it's not working for you, like, you're not talking the right way in there. You haven't jumped into the culture, right? Yes.
I think it's a matter of it's not what just works, but it's a matter of certain media sites are better for branding than it is for selling a car.
100%. I'm glad you said that because I don't want to move too fast. Because one thing, I'm trying to cover a lot quickly. So there's one paradigm that I use all the time, and I tell all my team, all advertising works. If you ever look at someone and says that doesn't work, and they're standing in front of you selling a lot of cars, it all works, right? I've stood in 20 groups, and they argue, well, we do radio in Georgia, it works great. And then the guy in Michigan, well, radio is terrible up here. We can only do TV up here, right? Everybody, but you know why they work? Because they're all in. Their toes not in the water. They're 100% immersed in it, okay? So that's a great point. And so I'm going to get after that. But if you want to do Instagram, don't put 1 post a week or 1 or 3 times a week and then report back in 90 days, Instagram stinks, it doesn't work, okay? You'll never be able on Instagram to necessarily see a click that showed up on your website, and then you say, so we're going to get there from clicks to bricks. We've got to start looking at more data, right? Car dealers, and I said this I think to you at my booth, car dealers were the best. We'd dress up in costumes on our corner and wave at people and do crazy things, right? You probably annoyed more people driving by but we did it because we were doing something that worked. So, but you can take that same craziness. Car dealers used to be, and we are the most innovative advertisers. We're always at the cutting edge, right? But for some reason, we're letting, it might affect your click-through rate. And I'm a big Gary Vee fan, but we're afraid to just be vulnerable and social, and that's what social's about. That's what's so cool about it, okay? I mean, I was terrified letting my salespeople send an email to somebody. You're like, Jesus, they can't read and write. Like, we don't want that to go out, right? The beauty of social is they get away with short codes. Even though it drives me nuts, that's the culture, okay? So empower your salespeople sitting there. Don't scold them for trying, right? If it stinks, it's still better than someone who hasn't done it. Because guess what? If they commit to it, in 3 years, they'll be King Kong at it, and everybody will be asking them, how come you're so good at this? Because I do it, all right? Because I do it. So that's a great point. But I'm weird. When someone asks me, what do you think of Instagram? Wealthy company, I wish I owned it, you know? So real quick, touch points. They say there's an average of 24 touch points from your customer before they buy a vehicle today. Okay, and 19 of them are digital. A touch point is just what it sounds like. It might have been seeing your brand. A touch point's definitely showing up on your lot. It could be your logo, but 19 of them are digital. I use this graphic because I think we're all caught up we're caught up in Google and Facebook because they're King Kongs right now. And that's what we're putting in the tank. That's that bottom of funnel. But we forget all the internet, all the other places that you could have a touch point with someone. And sometimes for a better buy, right? But you would have someone tell you, oh, it's not a better buy because I didn't see my last click, and we're going to get into that. Quit worrying about the last click. That didn't convert. You have no way of knowing that. Like, if you watch my wife and I browse at night, like, you know, we start Googling someone from high school, wondering how they're doing and if they're bankrupt or not. And before you know it, we bought a vacation, right? Like, browsing's crazy like that. It is. Like we saw, oh, look, Terry, what is this? We need this in our house. Like, how do we get there? Because there's a touch point somewhere, right? And then we Google something we saw, and the Google gets the credit, which is fine. But what was a full court press in the traditional advertising days, right? Full court press was, if I was really had a great healthy budget, I could buy morning drive radio, right? I could buy evening drive radio, maybe that early fringe news. If I was really wealthy, early fringe morning news when they're putting their socks on. And if I was just King Kong, end of the month, two-week radio blast, right? And that's a full court press. And then if I just had crazy co-op money, I put up 6 billboards, right? That's a full court press. Maybe a direct mail piece. So full court press in digital world is available at your fingertips and for less money than it would take to do in traditional, okay? But you got to be patient. You got to start thinking in terms of how I'm going to brand and build my dealership. Metrics are important, but which ones, which sources, and what matters. I'm going to try to help with that. I can't solve this today. This is an introduction. My goal today, honestly, is for you to walk out of here with a light bulb moment to say, I'm going to start owning my dealership and I'm going to trust my gut instinct more, and I'm going to start asking questions that matter. If that happens, your dealership will win. This is one of my old favorite quotes that was taught to me. If you torture the data long enough, it will confess. Okay? So I can't believe I'm saying this because it goes against everything I say, but as dealers, when someone comes to you with data immediately, be cautious, right? Because they've sat there and they've sharpened that pencil for a long time to make sure the data speaks to what we think you want it to say, right? And if you beat data long enough, you can make it look really good. And my dad was good at this. Somehow he ran a household of 7 people with no money, you know? So 62% of automotive online searches are initiated on a mobile device. Okay, I'm going to start to transition a little bit into stuff that I think you're already doing this. I think it's evolved, but this was in their deck that I'm taking over. So if you're not already, if you're proofing ads for your Facebook, Google searches, if you're proofing it on a desktop computer, you're proofing it wrong. Pull out your cell phone. This right here tells me 62% of our online searches are automotive. I will tell you from my own personal data, looking at over 70 dealers, if you do any sort of buy here, pay here, or secondary finance, that number probably jumps to about 80 to 85%. Okay? Remember, this number's coming from everybody buys an automotive, and so you're looking at a Lexus buyer, you're thinking of a Toyota buyer, and I think, give that some thought, right? Desktop, they have the ability to sit at work and pretend we're working, and all of a sudden we're on our desktop, right? So give that some thought. If you're not thinking mobile, how does it look? Was it designed to look right in mobile? It can look like garbage, and that's your brand, right? Oh man, everything looks great on our monitor at work, right? But pull it up start using it on your phone. I make my guys, hey, great, pull it up on your phone. Let me see it on your phone. Well, I don't know why it looks bad. This is what Google told me. This is the pixels. Well, let me tell you something. There's more bugs in Google and Facebook than you could ever imagine, right? So I'm always saying, test your crap. Look at it. But you guys, you employ enough millennials or whoever. We got to quit saying millennials because they're great people. One day they're going to make it, according to Socrates. But they do want to argue with it. Well, it's exactly what it should be. I know, but it's not. Define success metrics beyond lead forms. So I talk leads all the time because I think leads convert to sales. But I think a good example here is if you got someone telling you, oh, your bounce rate's too high. Well, what do you mean by that? You guys understand if you get a lot of phone calls that's a bounce. If someone clicks to call, that is a bounce, right? So some of these terms we are still hung up on are becoming dated, in my opinion, okay? So I want you to start asking yourself, how many phone calls are we getting off our ads, and track them? How many chats and text messages have been performed off of them? If you don't have texting set up on your Google My Business page right now, you're missing car deals, okay? And the problem with that is, how are you going to train your staff to do it? Well, someone needs to take charge. Instead of sitting around waiting for who's taking the next up, Google how to set up text on Google My Business. I promise you it's right there real quick. Or watch a YouTube video on it. Contact us, appointment test drives, dealership locator, get directions. If you don't have a locator, and I think most of you do, but we'll get into Google extensions, having the right extensions so that they can call you off of your ads. But remember this, only 26% of people who purchase a vehicle filled out a form, okay? I'm fascinated with this discussion all the time. Terry, we need good leads. And I'm a huge Glenn Ross fan, right? You need good leads, huh? And so spend some space in this. You're getting good leads, guys. If someone clicks on an ad, because only 26% of them do it, if someone clicks an ad, there's about 5 things that have to happen. They have to sit down and go, get me financed on a car, or it could be buy me a used vehicle under 10K. Whatever it is they're searching. They had to search, right? Then they did the research. They spent time doing it. Your Google ad or one of your branding happens to come up. They click it. They decide, and they've got choices. They decide to click your dealership. They wait for sometimes lousy optimized websites to load. They're patient because they need the car. It comes up. It lands them right in the middle of their inventory because that's where we like to send them. They pick a car. Then they work to find your lead form, unless you're gated, or we can get into all that stuff later. They finally fill out your form, and you're getting 200 of these a month, 300 a month, what you should be getting. And I'm hearing, Terry, they're just bad leads, man. Hold up. Go back to your car dealer instinct. You're here to tell me someone who searched to buy a car, clicked, filled out a form, is a bad lead. I'm here to tell you they're not bad leads. That's like telling somebody it's snowing outside and there's someone on your lot. They're a bad lead, okay? No, you got to convert them. You got to have a great meet and greet. You got to stop them in their tracks. Remember when we started saying we got to get 2 phone numbers from everybody? Remember when landlines and cell phones came on? Hey, you better get 2 phone numbers. I was spiffing salespeople $1 per mobile phone if they'd get 2. I was begging people to put 2 phone numbers on a buyer's order, right? That did happen. Now today, how many of your people, by show of hands, are calling customers and the phone's never answered or it's a wrong number? A lot. So go back to basics. Think about your customer. If it's a potential special finance customer, buy here, pay here customer, okay? By a show of hands, what percentage of those customers live paycheck to paycheck? All of them, okay? This day and age, what percentage of them maybe don't have an unlimited data plan? They're not as privileged with that, right? So there are people who have updated their phone, or it's an old cell phone number that they can't afford to turn back on, but when they're on Wi-Fi, they use that phone because it's free, because you can make phone calls by Wi-Fi. They're using chat apps, right, like WeChat, because it's So now let's go back to collection days when our customers were getting collected, right? You could put the phone in the drawer and they'd leave you alone. Well, there is no land phone anymore. So how many cell phone calls do you think they're getting a day trying to collect something? I bet it never ends. So when you heard me say, those are good leads, I love to sit down with a salesperson in a dealership and just kind of teach them. So this is the culture I want you guys to go to get them from that click to the brick. And I learned this from my wife. I love her. Women are the best private investigators of all time, right? Like, hey, I met so-and-so at a conference and, wake up in the morning, hey, I Googled that person, and by the way, she's single, and she has a very promising career. And you can learn anything on Facebook and Google. So what I'm doing now with salespeople, you're probably already doing in collections, take the phone number and search it in Facebook. 9 times out of 10, they set up their Facebook account with that phone number, even the phone number that didn't work. If that doesn't work, then search by email. If email doesn't work, then go to the lowest rung on the ladder and search them by name and city where you're at. You will find them if you want them bad enough. And you got to ask your salespeople that, okay? And I love sitting with the guy, these are 10 garbage leads. Now, a garbage lead, if someone fills out a form that says Superman and all that, we can handle that, right? Throw that in the garbage, don't even discuss it. 10%ers. But the rest, then send a private message. How many scripts are sitting in your dealership for your people to private message someone on Facebook? If not, sit down and start writing quality scripts or the basics of a script, right? What's a script look like? Hey, hate to invade your space, your personal space. I'm not stalking you on Facebook. I would personally use those terms. But I received a lead from you, and I thought you're interested in a vehicle. I have found that some of my customers love communicating with me in this private manner. If you're comfortable this way, love to talk. And I will tell you out of 10 of them, 3 to 4, I don't want to overdo it, within 3 to 4 minutes are talking to me sitting there with the sales guy. It's fun to see the light bulb go off, okay? So then you can do it to Instagram, you can do it to Twitter. So no, we don't have to ask for 2 phone numbers anymore, but we need to start asking, how else can I get a hold of my customers? I got to pick it up because I'm talking a lot. Any questions thus far on some of that? Okay, the funnel. I love the funnel. Google has created, Google is now, and I love Google because it makes us all a lot of money, okay? This is not to pick on Google. Google's the number one tool out there for you to grab customers. But how good was the phone book for years, Yellow Book? How many people would kick a phone book rep out of your office because you just wanted to bold your phone number? Yeah, we can bold your phone number. That'd be $400 a month, no problem. Do what? Right? Or we just want to go to the square. We want to be, so Google is your phone book. It's the bottom of the funnel, right? It's where they're in discovery mode, and we as dealers are guilty of going there. And if you're going there, you're renting your customers, okay? You're renting them. The dealers that really do a great job, back in the day, they sponsored Little League teams. They sponsored a golf scrambles. They did the community stuff because they knew in the newspaper, if I sponsored a Little League team, people would read the score, and there was Kenny Kent Lexus every morning when I read the paper, Kenny Kent Chevrolet, Kenny Kent Toyota. That was branding. They couldn't prove that work. No one ever walked in and said, hey, dude, I love that you guys sponsor Little League teams and great score. But it's awareness, right? So that's where awareness happens. And you can drive that by starting to think about phone calls, apps, videos, and social. All the other things that are on the internet, and they have a value. So here's what I'm challenging you, is quit. When someone walks in and they do want to sell you, I don't care if it's geofencing. Geofencing has a great space, but some people attack it because they'll go, it doesn't work. What do you mean? Like, not getting into politics, it got that president elected. That's all he used was geofencing. That's all I could afford, okay? It's the way they ran it. It does work. It has its place, but you can't look at the last click and say, oh, that's where we got our customer, because guess what happens when they Google it? If it's in our mind, it will happen. I put a couple memes here just to make it easier, but my favorite is this. We sent out 100 emails and we got 5 new customers. Email's working for us. Okay? Maybe. I don't know that. Yeah, it definitely works. But how many of them just previously saw an ad from you? Oh, they just followed up, right? So we've got to get in this. We have a hard time deciding when the moment happens, when the ad click happens, and when the performance goes together. Okay? So I'm going to transition from that into talking about some performance conversion. I already hit this, so I'm going to go by this quickly. Make sure you've got ad extensions, call extensions on all your ads. If you don't, Demand it. And then go buy yourself a cheap little tracking phone number, right, that will record all your phone calls, and you should. And then you'll say, oh, a lot of them are just for collections, but they're still the greatest training tool ever. And you shouldn't be using it to beat your people up, but it's great training. Hey, how come we weren't just nice to that person that just paid us, right? It's amazing. Someone calls to make a payment, I'll buy here, pay here. All right, hold on. Why aren't we just saying, and I train on stuff like that because it all matters, right? Hey, thanks for paying. Great job. Keep it up, man. You're on the road to recovery. And if you know anybody else wanting to buy a vehicle, would love to do it. But you have an opportunity to train off that stuff. You're paying for the advertising, so get the phone call recorded. I put this in here out of nowhere because I'm pretty ADHD. But this is one of my favorite books of all time, and I still go back to it, The 33 Ruthless Rules of Local Advertising. My favorite is number 2 there. I'm not going to go through them all because I want to keep moving. But don't ask your customer what brought them in. That was always my favorite thing. What brought you in today, right? So the book goes in detail about that. We're conditioned to answer. If you ask us a question, we're going to answer it, right? What do you want your payment to be? $250, right? Those conditioned responses. Guys, I'm telling you right now, no one knows. I remember when my mom got the Arbitron book. We once got selected to do Arbitron, and she filled it out before we listened for the whole week. She's like, oh, we better get this done. And she wrote down that we listened to 96 STO. I'm like, Mom, we never listened to 96 STO. Oh, I thought that's what you kids listen to, right? So people have a lot going on, and they don't know how they did it. So what I'm telling you is start listening. Use your gut. If you do a test, and all of a sudden you say, I'm going to walk out of here, and I am going to diversify a little bit. I'm going to do a little geofencing. I'm going to add a little social. I'm going to do some more YouTube because I know I should, and I'm going to cut my pay-per-click budget. Don't do it in 30 days and say it didn't work. My results didn't show my clicks, and we'll get into that. What you should do is, I told you if you beat data long enough, it will show results. You should then look, hey, our web traffic's up. Something's going on, okay? And there's bot stuff, but that's another day and dollar. But that's up. Our phone calls were up, but we didn't sell any more cars. But phone call activity's up. That's good. I remember getting my ass chewed out by Bob Brady all the time because I love him to death. But when I was his desking sales manager, terrible day. We didn't sell a car today. And I tell him, no, Mr. Brady, believe it or not, it was one of our better days. We're about to slay it in the next 4 days. Well, how do you know that? Because I had like 3 great TOs. My guys just set 20 appointments. Like it's on, like Donkey Kong right now. There were days I'd sell 3 cars and I was worried about the next 4 because I knew there was no activity going on. Same thing here. Dive deeper into your reporting. Don't give up on something. Just like we were talking about Instagram. It will work if you go all in. Right? Like keto diets work if you go all in. All of them work if you go all in. But I wouldn't know that. I beat anorexia. Thank you. So I put this together as a great example. I love this little scenario. Dealership A versus dealership B. Which one would we all invest in? Okay? Dealership A has a 40% lead to close ratio. So that means a lead comes in and they close it 40% of the time. Dealership B has an 8% lead to close ratio. Dealership A, 60% leads turn into an appointment. Dealership B, man, only 20% of those leads turn into an appointment. Dealership A, 50% appointment show ratio. That means they set the appointment 50% show. 10% show for dealership B. Dealership A has a 10% click-through rate. Man, they're killing it, click-through rate. Dealership B has a 1.5% click-through rate. Dealership A has 0 bad Facebook reviews. Dealership B has a 3.5 average. Dealership A uses all Google best practices. Dealership B uses advertising fundamentals. Just on that data point right there, who were we investing in? A, right? And I'm telling you, you guys are relying on that data point from a lot of your people. A lot. Let's take the same dealerships. They both sell 40 cars a month. Dealership A gets 200 leads a month. Dealership B gets 500 leads a month. Right? Dealership A sets 60 appointments. Dealership B sets 100 appointments. Dealership A has 30 appointments show. Dealership B has 10 appointments show. Dealership A has 4. They both have 4 salespeople. They both have 80. I want it to all be fair. They both have 80 cars ready on the lot. They both spend $5,000. One does it all on Google AdWords. The other does it on PPC, Geo, and social. Okay? Dealership A received 2,000 impressions. Dealership B received 100,000 impressions. And there was a time 5 years ago, mark my word, anybody that's been involved, the TV people laughed at impressions on digital. Oh, impressions don't matter. And I about fell out of my chair when I heard it from the Chicago Tribune rep that impressions don't matter. They always matter. What are you talking about? You just need a lot more in digital, right? Because it's a crowded space. So dealership A had 10% click-through rate, that 1.5, which I told you earlier. A had 0 recorded track calls. They had 50. Dealership A had 0. They had no bad Facebook reviews because they had their reviews turned off. They're scared to death to even interact with people. And dealership B, they had their reviews turned on, but they responded to every single bad review, and they weren't afraid of them. And they actually closed some of those people. Because in the car business, when I got a mad customer, I was about to sell a car. How many people love taking it up on someone who's mad? I do. But your people are scared to take a bad review. Pick up the phone. Let's solve this. Come in. How can we? I've had a guy in my office, I thought he was going to kill me. He walked out buying a car, right? So we've got to take that stuff head on. The fundamentals haven't changed. We're doing it all in digital. And this is what I wanted to finish with on that. Dealership A, if you did the math, will have 2,400 people to remarket to in a year. Dealership B will have 6,000 people to remarket to. And dealership A in 5 years has 12,000 to remarket, and dealership B has 30,000. This is a great question. Ask your inner self this. You got to ask, who are you going to invest in? And it should be dealership B. Maybe we need to hire one more salespeople person so our close ratio goes up, right? Maybe they are overwhelmed. Maybe I'm not paying attention. Maybe they're terrible on the phone and they're just not trained well. Maybe they don't track appointments like they're supposed to. They just don't even enter them, right? But something's going on there. But if you had one off month, I'm telling you, because I know you guys, I've worked for you, right? And because we all have that inner voice that eventually we're all going to be out of business. It scares us to death, right? And you should have that fear. It's real. But you have one bad month that feels off, and you forget that it's April, not March anymore, right? And then you get a report from your ad campaign. Holy Jesus, our click-through rates are off. Nothing's working. Take a deep breath. Remember what Terry told you in here, right? Numbers can be beaten. Dig deeper. Go look at your real numbers. Find out what's going on in your store. Okay? Maybe all your people got paid too much last month and they just didn't care about enough. Right? How many of you guys hated handing over a good commission check to somebody? Because they were just about to have, they needed a fresh start program. Guys, auto buyers are out there begging for us to give them their money. We've got to take it. I love this. This is a real picture. I walked up on someone. Businesses are closed until further notice, right? But they were a certified dealer on, how did this happen? How? So there are dealers going out of business. There is stress on our industry, right? But there are also, guess what, ones thriving and all of a sudden picking up that void. It can be you if you go after it in digital. And everybody's reporting a rise in digital. They know something's going on, but you've got to start changing that culture. If you want them to show up at your bricks, change the culture. What do you talk about in a meeting with your people? Are you talking about, hey, John, I noticed you haven't once shared one of our posts on social. Are you even alive? Set up a bonus program for salespeople. Hey, if you can verifiably show me 4 customers that you converted in Facebook messaging that buys, I'll pay you $500 on the spot. Start creating the culture. Guys, auto buyers rarely follow what we call a linear path. A person told me he drank 1 beer, and he didn't lie to me, but he's drunk. Well, he didn't tell you he also had a bourbon, a margarita, and a shot, a fireball on the golf course, right? So they don't follow this linear path, and I know you want it to be that. Oh, my Google ad worked. They clicked. It was beautiful. Oh, my God, they landed on that car, and I know they loved it so much because we took the best picture, and they filled it out. They don't. Think about yourself. Think about how you buy. Think about it. Yeah, I like that car. I'll be back. Now I'm going to go check the reviews. You know what? Then I got stuck on Auto Trader because I loved Auto Trader, and my competitors got the same cars at a better price because my pricing wasn't good. Like, there's so much going on, right, that you got to just exhale and quit letting some of these digital people scare you. But slow down and ask the questions you know matter. We got about 15 minutes, so I'll keep going. We're doing good. Any questions thus far on anything I'm touching? Am I going too fast, too slow? All right. Anything? All right. Valuable insights emerge when looking at the entire journey. Ask your people, hey, I want to see a multi-channel marketing report. If you ever looked at I don't know if anybody's ever looked at a multi-channel marketing report. They're fascinating. Follow where all they go. You'd be like, how the hell do we ever get a customer? It'd be scary. But ask for a multi-channel marketing report and start looking. So this is an example. They did a desktop search. They review site visit. They went and looked at your reviews. They did a walkthrough video because you had a great YouTube video. They saw a billboard because billboards can still work. That's all good. They did a mobile search. Then they got on their mobile phone, right? And this is the beauty of what computer learning is doing, machine learning, where you got to calm down. Google guys have gotten so good. I mean, they know if you have a Yahoo address, a Gmail address, they know who your friends are. Oh, this person clicked. That's who we want. Now we're on to somebody. So then they have the ability to know who your friends are on Facebook, and if you run in the same circles, if you buy, the machine learning is all that's coming, right? And I don't want to bore you with it here today because it's deep, deep, deep. But if we look at the entire journey, we will see that some insights emerge. There are a lot of people out there talking about, I'm going to go through this quick because it's kind of getting quick. I want to talk about non-last click. Getting past this, hey, what was the last click they did? There are growth opportunities when you start not thinking about what was their last click. Start thinking more audience, not keywords, guys. Audiences. Ask your people, are we building our own audience for our customers, right? Like Google actually, if you do the work, Google will actually then, it takes time. They will certify you in that audience. Like you can build your own audience and Google say, we now recognize your audience. It's so good, okay? Every time you decide to switch websites, every time you decide to change your domain or do a redirect, your SEO is going to struggle and Google's going to ding you if your website loads too slow. Okay? All of it matters. Anything worth doing is worth overdoing. When we came to the dealership in the old days, what did we do? We drove the lot. I did. I drove the lot. If I didn't have bumpers lined up, I was in a bad mood. If I saw 3 dark colors parked together, someone's getting in trouble. If all my cars didn't have placards on them, I'm about to go nuts. And if my stickers weren't all in the bottom right corner, and if they couldn't because of an emblem, they better have a good reason, right? Like, because I knew I was pulling up to a team that was ready to win at my dealerships, right? So it mattered. But today, for some reason, if I owned my own store or was a manager again today, I would go in my office and check every single one of my accounts. What's down? What's up? What's not working? How come I don't have new? How come I have a picture with snow on it and it's now June? Okay. Fresh inventory. We just turned our inventory. Buyers, guys, are not stupid. They're smart. Man, that car looks dirty online. That's the same car they've had on sale for 3 weeks. You got to do fresh stuff. You got to stick with it. Automation's coming. I've talked about it enough, but then I want you to add human intelligence. Dealer intelligence. Trust your instinct. Start asking the questions you know that matter. Appearance. The road to the sale still exists in digital space, doesn't it? Right? You got to make a great first impression. You're going to meet and greet them in digital, so you better have a great image. Right? They're going to investigate your needs and wants, and we're going to go on down the road. Attribution and cross-channel advertising experiences. Video. Video is huge. If you're not doing video, you should be doing a lot of video. I think you guys saw in the general session, guys, there are sales guys doing a great job branding themselves. You know, they always ask, what should I talk about? Just do, Gary Vee's big on this. We don't know what content. What content? Here's my advice on video. What am I trying to say? God dang it, Terry. Lost it. Use it as a journal. Just basically share what you're doing today. That's it. So get up and say, hey, it's raining outside. I don't think I'm going to sell a car. I'm in a bad mood. These cars aren't lined up, and I'm going to move them. That's great content. Because buyers are begging for authenticity today. It's better than any ad I can create you that says, come on into John Lot. We got $199 delivers. Right? Like, we can do better than $199 delivers. We can do better than match your down payment. We can come up with, hey guys, it is Cancer Awareness Month. Believe it or not, my mom died of cancer, and it's really personal to me. Okay? So this month only, I'm paying an extra referral for anybody that refers me any female that's battled cancer or whatever. But be authentic, be vulnerable. If you wake up and Google, what's today's holiday? If it's donut day. Hey guys, I love donuts. I don't know if you love donuts. Here's a car that doesn't have a donut on it. I would never sell this to you. But get your people out there creating content. Remarketing. You guys should be spending way more in remarketing than you are. Okay? I forever have dealers that don't want to remarket, so I don't even sell it to them anymore. I just package it up with SEM. They're getting it whether they want it or not, because I'm not arguing about it. You know? 9 times out of 10 when a dealer calls me, we're slow. I don't ask for more money. I don't need it. I take money off Google AdWords and I push remarketing. And guess what happens? It goes nuts. Because we already know they've clicked you once, and guess what? I'm fishing in. So remarketing, guys, a great analogy is if you fish, you throw your lure in, you get a bite, and your worm's gone, and you guys decide to move the boat and go try somewhere else. No, go right back in. Right? We got something going on here. Brand building. Pay attention to your brand. Your brand does matter. Even though you're an independent, people love someone local, and they will pay attention to your brand if you love your brand. I'm amazed at how many guys don't care about their brand. The day you started your own business or became an owner, if you weren't excited when you got your first hat with a logo on it, or your first koozie, or your first shirt, that pride you had, you need to make it return and make everybody appreciate your brand. Like, don't let someone, if we're going to do it, everybody uses the same logo. Everybody, it matters. The good news is that 97% of all vehicles still happen at a dealership. This is where I'm an outlier. I get arguments with people still. I predicted it when Saturn. Remember Saturn? Everybody loves Saturn because they don't negotiate. Everybody gets the same price. It's going to work out great. Saturn never made a profit ever. They didn't. And Carvana, the great vending machine that we're all going to just worship. Okay, I'm telling you, it will work for great tiered customers with great credit. You guys are car dealers. Where is the real business model made in this business? It's in finance, and it's solving problems. And you cannot do that unless they're in your dealership and solving them. Yes, you can sell cars to an 800 Empirica score and give it away. Have all those you want, all right? And just have them yell at you because you sold them a Dodge that didn't have the fit and trim of a Lexus. Sir, you bought it. So I have a weird sense of humor about customers. So, but what they still have to come in, right? Mom needs a minivan. Their debt-to-income ratio is terrible. Every bank on first send is going to turn them down. AI says, no, forget it. But all of a sudden, the dealer picks up a phone, talks to a local bank, really does get an exception, really does bump the trade, really does decide, you know what, this trade's nicer than I thought it was, really does decide, you know what, we're on the wrong vehicle. If I got you in a van that solves the same problem, or a crossover, and you still can have the kids do what they want, and we just need to bump you about $100 a payment, all of a sudden we got a car deal. Okay? So remind your digital people, it's as great as digital is, they haven't figured that part out, and I don't think they will because human beings are a pain in the ass, right? And you got to write a very complex program to do all of what I just told you that has to happen. So the difference between an average dealership and a great dealership, average dealerships sell the easy ones, the laydowns, you blow on them. You could open your doors and sell 10 cars a month and not work at it. I mean, just by proximity, for the most part, if you kind of know what you're doing, right? But the ones that really go after it, everybody's a buyer. They don't allow people to talk about, oh, this guy's a stroke. You know, I would fire a sales guy for telling me they're a stroke. Like, don't allow that language, right? We don't high five. We don't talk like that. No, that's a buyer. We're weak. You know, so in digital space, if you're getting a ton of traffic and your impressions are up, your advertising is working, there's probably something more we need to look at and help you go. Reach buyers at scale. Start thinking about more local ads. Get some cross links. This will help your SEO. There's stuff you can do. If you are doing local radio with some of your stuff, demand, hey, I'll do a buy with you, but I better be on, and don't let them charge you for it because it's free. I want a link on your site. I want some of that local traction so that when they search different things, I'll get a free image, okay? But be heavy in search. Make sure your maps are correct, okay? So a lot of people don't pay attention to Yelp. Everybody knows an Apple phone uses Yelp, right, and their maps. So you could have a great Google rating, and an Apple user pulls you up, and all they see is Yelp, okay? You got to figure that out. I've seen people that on their map, they have their incorporated name and not the DBA. They just haven't thought all that through. So make sure that's reporting correctly. Google My Business changes a lot. Then be deep in YouTube because YouTube allows local links and display. Make sure you're doing display ads. Like that one. Make sure it's formatted correctly. Driving awareness with Google My Business. Everybody knows what their Google My Business page is. Pay attention to it every day. Check everything on it, right? Respond to bad reviews. There's a question and answer spot. Use it. Your manager should be required to be checking that every morning. And he should want to. Turn on your chat on Google My Business. But here's that great report. Google My Business gives you that report. If you look at it, it'll show you how many clicks you got for directions to your store, how many phone calls. I told you to track phone calls. When someone tells you advertising isn't working, you should be tracking how many clicks to directions you get every month. And you should have your big spreadsheet, and I should say June over June, my directions to dealership are way up, but my sales are down. What's going on? I got a problem. Something else is going on. Doesn't mean your ad stuff's not working. They're using a different format today. Okay? The tools are complex, but the fundamentals are the same. Use location extensions. Make sure it's easy for them on mobile to click to get directions. Don't make them work to go get them. Click right off of it. Use location extensions. It will also help you with your Google and your spend and all kinds of things, because start setting your spend. Make sure you're weighting it based on how far away from your dealership. This is important. I don't know, how many of you guys get cross-sell reports? Do you guys ever get a cross-sell report? Yeah, okay. So when you worked for Chrysler, your rep sent that to you every month, right? And we used to get brain damage over the Chrysler store 15 miles away is taking all our customers, right? We would just go nuts. And when you look at a cross-sell report, we typically give ourselves brain damage on a competitor in town, and they're taking 2 a month. It's not like you think, because people do want to buy local. They do, right? It's typically you're giving them reasons not to more than it is someone else is taking your customer. They want to use your service department because it's close. They don't want to drive further, okay? But it's typically we didn't respond to them, so they got mad. We weren't quick on a text message. Your website's garbage. People are temperamental. Are people temperamental today? Ooh, man, they got short fuses. I mean, there's people not talking to nobody no more for nothing. Optimize for more store visits. And I'm reaching my end here almost. Focus on mobile users. I already hit that. Bid by distance. Make sure you're bidding by distance on your Google, because you're getting better bang for your buck local. You can open it up. I'm not saying don't bid out 30 miles, because I think that brand's good. But also then don't beat up your guys when it's an outside area code. They're not even a local buyer. Guys, I have a 618 area code and I live in a 314. People don't change phones. Location, and go easy on them. Location matters. Someone could have been in your market and they did business and they left. That report's not going to be perfect. Don't get brain damage. That's the 10% of bad reporting, but do the fundamentals and you will see growth. Overlay with your known audiences. Bid higher for customers. I remember I told you that. That's like honestly my secret. I'm big on remarketing. And I always was before everybody said it was. To plan, drive more from value from marketing. Capture the right metrics, like I'm talking about. Start getting you an Excel sheet that shows you, make sure you're linking your customer relationship management database systems. Make sure they're linked so you can go from click to appointment to lead, right, to closed, or approved or non-approved. Watch that whole linear, because it'll tell you a lot. You could say, man, we just had a bad month. We were getting some bad stuff we couldn't get approved, but man, our advertising's killing it right now. We just don't change anything. We had bad luck. It goes in spurts. I've managed the finance manager who, on day 14 of a month, this month sucks, because he signed all wholesale deals and he had 6 cash deals in a row and he thinks he's not going to make any money. Jim Durbin, calm down, dude. You're going to make money, and by the end of the month, it's like a record month, right? Same thing here. Let your data come in. It takes a year to really have good data. So this is my little meme here when we kind of want in it and someone just keeps asking questions. But on that note, please ask questions. No, I do want them. So, one second. My big thing is, guys, you know what? I'm a dealer advocate. I love Google. I love advertising, and I bridge it. So I hope I didn't disappoint you, because I know they advertised that a Google rep would be here. She couldn't make it last second. I'm kind of filling in. Took her topic, but I do own this topic. I like it. I hope it lit some fires under you. Yes.
What do you think, in your opinion, is the best way to generate good reviews online? Should you be selective on who you go out and ask for?
Okay, so it's a great question. So the first thing I will say to this is this, because I have dealers ask me how do I get my reviews up, and you probably are. Number one, start treating customers better, and that's the best thing. and I'm candid there. Not saying you're not. Now, number two, what you're really asking. It has to happen immediately, right? Can a lot of things go wrong after they buy a car? A lot, right? Car breaks down, all kinds of stuff. So at the moment, I'm not selling vendors. I think Podium's really good at the moment. I'm getting reviews. I think they're onto something, and there's probably other people using it. I'm not like I don't even use Podium, but I have dealers doing it, and it's working great. And it works if you're active. If you just set it and forget it, change it every month, because they default to like Google, and then you can change the default to Yelp, thank you, dude. I'm struggling here. Yelp, you can change it then to Facebook. You can change your priorities. And then I'm big on culture. If we have old age inventory on the lot and we pay attention to it, what happens? Goes away. If our grosses are low and we pay attention to grosses, what happens? They get better. So create a culture where you're talking about it all the time. And you might have to, I know dealers don't like it, salespeople are amazing. You dangle a carrot, they'll go get it. Tell them, hey team, we get this rating up to 4, anything over a 4 or 5, we're doing this, we're doing X, Y, Z. That's my advice. It is very organic, and there is no excuse for not. And the other thing that will help, take your sold pictures, truly get them up on there, ask them to be a friend on Facebook and tag them, so they have a way to follow up with them too. But it's a great question. You have to work at it. There is no, yes.
So you mentioned as far as putting the pictures up on Facebook and tag them, but I was told that...
From a business page, you cannot. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, you need Facebook, correct?
Yes.
To tag them, don't they have to...
Like your page?
They have to like the page, then you can tag them, correct?
Yes, so his question was, and he's right, to tag someone on a Facebook page, don't they have to like your page? Yes, he's correct. Okay, this would be a great another hour session. One, salespeople should be asking, hey, while we're sitting here waiting to get in finance, why don't you go ahead and like our page? And here's why. We're not going to try to sell you another car, but we do a lot of updates on specials and service. We got all kinds of things, like we put up fun content sometimes on stuff going on locally. But go ahead and like our page, and it would mean a lot to us. So now you've already knocked that out of the park before they get into finance. Like, start thinking, that's why I said create the new culture. What is your process before they go in? We used to talk about doing a service walk and all those things. I'd rather a guy sit there and get all that done. Now, secondly, your salespeople should have a personal Facebook page that they're selling cars on, and tagging them in both places. Does that make sense? Because, remember, Joe Verdi was big on if you're going to be a great salesperson, develop a master sales list, right? Remember, have your master sales list, and if you know what they can do for a living, how they can get a hold of you, and how you make money, they go on your master list, and how do they get off of it? They don't ever, right? So for me, and Facebook's getting tougher with their rules and things like that, and it's hard to convince a salesperson to use their personal page to always sell cars. So we've developed a lot of the best guys have developed a second personal page that maybe it's first letter initial and last name with their business email address, so that I can cut it off if I get rid of them. But then you're encouraging, hey, brand yourself and go at it. Have at it, dude. And here's our digital assets. You can and reward that guy for going after it. Because all he's doing is doing you free traffic. Does that help? Okay. Yes.
I just wanted to say, for anyone that's intimidated or doesn't know what to do with Google AdWords or what to spend money on, or they don't trust a third-party vendor, go to SpyFu.
Absolutely agree. So his comment was, anybody that's nervous, intimidated by Google AdWords, afraid to jump in on their own, doesn't trust a third-party vendor, go to SpyFu. And pay for the subscription too. Because yep. Sure you. SpyFu. SPYFU.com. SpyFu. SPY. Yeah, like Kung Fu, but SpyFu. Yeah. That should be our new song. Everybody is SpyFu fighting. So stupid. So stupid. No, he's right. Listen, and what he's suggesting, and here, this is good discussions. I like the open more than this stuff because we learn from each other the most. Dive deep into what everybody's spending, but the cost keeps going up. The more that people get into AdWords, the cost goes up. Really think deeper about what I'm telling you about machine learning and grabbing your stuff in other places. And one more thing on that. Generic leads. You're competing for your own leads with generic lead providers. Do you know that? Like people like, oh, we love 60-second loans. We love their leads. Well, they're buying the same terms you are, and you're driving the price of your own words up in your market. Now, you may have to do that until you bridge it, but at some point, I'm the master of my domain, right? Like I'm going to get this. And you can become a lead producing machine on your own site, right? You really can. That's why there's so many people selling it. It's not that hard, but it's fun. But you got to start. You can't ride a bike the first day. You're going to fall down, you're going to get a scab, you're going to get nervous, and then you're going to get real good at it, and your brother's going to convince you to put a couple bricks and ramp it, and then you'll break her leg. Yes? Towards what? Organic. So SEO, it's a great question. I feel like it's a loaded question because it depends on how much SEO help they need, right? So probably 80% spend and 20% SEO, somewhere in there. So let me talk, so SEO is a great question. So look at your mobile phone. Remember I told you mobile phone's everything? If you search anything anymore, so that fold, the newspaper fold it's all ads above it. So SEO is relevant, but you're never going to compete with Dodge, Chevy, right? But where I was talking about local, believe it or not, even paid stuff solves the SEO problem, and they don't want to tell you that, but it solves it. So if you're buying Facebook ads and Google won't tell you this, but they love people who spend money with Google. So who do you think they're helping? This is why they're in front of Congress right now, right? Like there is no. So to answer your question, if you clean up naturally your Google My Business listings, get some links from local stuff, and if you are spending and getting more clicks with ad spend, your SEO will come up, and you'll actually climb the ladder on the Google My Business listing. You know that free listing where sometimes you're down? The guys are up there, they're getting more reviews. Reviews is organic. That solves SEO, right? So it is a hard question. It's an important question, but if you're sitting around like a chicken waiting for an egg to hatch, you got to spend it. Is that fair? So 80-20 would be my comfortable answer to that, just for a generic answer. Now, if someone has a lousy website, we may need to spend 100% on it for 2 months. Let's get this stuff cleaned up and get it ready to rock and roll. So, any others? We good? We're going to sell more cars? Make it rain when we go home? All right. Hey, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.